Itinimin.
Free Oromia!
Yes.
Free Oromia!
Itinimin.
Free Oromia!
Itinimin ofii jedhachuudha malee itinimin nuttaru.
Australia take action!
Australia take action.
Australia take action!
Section Ethiopia. Ethiopian government is a terrorist. Ethiopian government is a terrorist.
Government is terrorizing its own people.
Government is terrorizing your people.
Terrorizing its own people.
Abiy is terrorizing his own people.
Bombing Tigray.
Stop bombing Tigray. Stop bombing Oromia. Stop bombing Oromia.
Political prisoners.
Free political prisoners.
And now we have a guy doing
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Thank you for braving the weather and joining us today to speak for our people, for whom every single minute, every single hour is a moment of tragedy. We are here to speak for people who survived the worst form of brutality and repression. We are here to speak for people who have survived genocide. We are here to speak for people who are surviving ethnic profiling and ethnic cleansing. And we are here in solidarity. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of everyone from the Ethiopian community, from different Ethiopian communities, and people from all sorts of Ethiopian origins are here. I realize that there are Tigrayans, there are Oromos, but there are many more. There are people from Command, from Agao, from Somali, from Gambela. So I acknowledge the presence of every single one of you to come in solidarity, to come out in solidarity and to join us as we speak for our people today. We are speaking for a people who are victimized by genocide. We are speaking for people who are braving a war and surviving it. We are speaking for people who are surviving drone attacks daily. We are speaking for children and women who are subjects of weaponized rape. We are speaking for people whose nation is completely decimated. We are speaking for people whose infrastructure is absolutely dismantled. We are speaking for people whose health is precarious today because health institutions are completely destroyed. And so I'm so glad and so proud to have you all here today to stand in solidarity with one another. I see that this moment is a moment of holding hands as people who are surviving genocide and war. I am so proud of each and every single one of you who took leave of absence from work, leave of absence from school, leave of absence from home and child caring, and who are here to make a voice, believing that we will make a difference. Thank you for your noise. Thank you for joining us. Our job is not complete yet. Our job starts now. There is no better time for standing in solidarity than this. It's a wonderful thing to hold hands. Once more, please put your hands together to recognize yourself. We don't often recognize ourselves. Thank you so much. I'll now read the joint statement prepared by the organizing committee, the joint organizing committee of the Oromo Federation, the Federation of Oromo Australian Associations, and the Alliance of the Garo communities here in Australia. The members of the Federation of the Oromo Civic Association of Australia, the Alliance of the Garo communities in Australia, the Gambela People's Community Associations Australia, and many other Australians of Ethiopian origin have come together to hold this joint grand rally here in Melbourne. Our members from all walks of life came out in droves, as you can see. Came out in droves in order to try and draw global attention to the suffering of our compatriots currently victimized by the genocidal wars waged by Abiy Ahmed's regime in Ethiopia. In this rally, we sought to raise our voices in order to draw the attention of Australians and the wider world to the ongoing genocidal war conducted against the peoples of Tigray, Oromia, Kemant, Agaw, Berta, Gumuz, Wolaita, Sidama, Gambela, Hadia, Konso, Ambaro, and others in Ethiopia. Abiy's regime is waging a war on all the peoples of Ethiopia in an attempt to implement a failed project of saving Ethiopia from its nations. Today, as we have been doing in the past 1 year, we reaffirm our denunciation of one, the genocidal war prosecuted on Tigray, Oromia, Kemant, Agaw, Berta, and Gumuz by Ethiopia, by Eritrea, and the supportive Amhara expansion forces. We also denounce the egregious human rights violations, including the weaponization of women and the weaponization of rape and sexual violence targeting women and children. We denounce the drone attacks and indiscriminate air bombing of civilians in Oromia, in Wallo, Wallagga, and Karayu, and in Tigray. We denounce the siege of Tigray and consequent blockade denying access to humanitarian aid. We denounce the mass detention of Tigrayans and Oromos in Addis Ababa and in all the other towns in the country. We denounce the acts of ethnic profiling, purging from workplaces, and intimidation of Oromos and Tagarus into submission otherwise. We denounce the wanton destruction of properties, of economic infrastructure, and a means of subsistence to generate a process of death by famine. We denounce the looting, pillaging, vandalizing of properties that could not otherwise be appropriated. We also denounce the hate speech propagated by the regime to target Tagarus and Oromos for arbitrary detention or execution or elimination otherwise. We denounce the treasonous act of conscripting foreign forces and enlisting UAE, Turkish, Chinese, and Iranian drones to kill our peoples. We denounce the forced conscription of young children into the military to fight this genocidal war against their will. We also would like to intimate to the world the gruesome situation of our peoples who are victimized by the long-drawn campaigns of genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, ethnic cleansing, mass atrocity crimes, state-induced famine, and displacement, flight, and refugee. We would like to appeal to the conscience of the international community so that they can stand in solidarity with our peoples to publicly denounce the regime's act of genocide. We have to call it by its name, and what is happening is a genocide. The war we are facing is a war of elimination. Its logic is the elimination of the other peoples of Ethiopia in order to sustain the project of building one nation out of many, or one nation on the graves of many. So we ask Australia, the country we gratefully acknowledge as our second home, as the home of our children, to do its part to help bring peace and relief to our people. We want Australia to play its important role as a responsible international citizen of the international community. In particular, Hiriraa we demand Australia to publicly condemn the genocide, designating it as such. Again and again we stress what it does is eliminating our people. And so we want Australia to call it by its name, to publicly denounce it, to publicly designate it as genocide. We also would like Australia to denounce the brutal wars of Abiy Ahmed and the mass atrocity crimes committed thereof. We want Australia to put a diplomatic pressure on the regime using bilateral and multilateral sites of engagement to stop the war and start seeking a negotiated settlement. We want Australia to allow unfettered access to humanitarian aid to all the people suffering from human-made and drought-induced famine. We want Australia to ensure the safety of Oromo political prisoners, such as Jawar Mohammed. I will be remiss not to mention my colleagues, my friends, my compatriots in name to demand their freedom. Jawar Mohammed, Bakala Garba, Gamachu Ayana, Abdi Ragasa, Michael Borana, Hamza Borana, all these people and the entire Oromo political leadership that is in prison. I want to demand the world to pay attention to their safety and security. I want Australia to put pressure to release all these political prisoners, including those who are under house arrest, the ones like Daud Ipsa. We want Australia to stop to help us stop ethnic profiling, arbitrary mass arrest, detention of Tigrayans and Oromos in concentration camps, in places that are known and places that are unknown, in police stations, in Kabale and Kifla Katama administrations, and in places that we don't even know. We want Australia to help us conduct an impartial international investigation of the mass murders and the mass atrocity crimes committed in numerous cities in Tigray and various other places such as the Guji zone, the Borana zone, the four Wallaga zones, Wollo, Metakkal, and everywhere else, so that the perpetrators of atrocious crimes such as genocide, ethnic cleansing, war crimes, and crimes against humanity are held accountable.